In this video, we're going to explore the positioning panel. So to do this, I'm going to select this element, the fixed box, and then I'm going to come here to the panel view, and then to arrange where we can find an area specific to this property. So basically, all the elements that we place in our layout come with a predetermined auto positioning. This means that we can't move our elements using this area. We have to use margins or paddings to do this, as well as height and width settings. In this case, with the positioning set to auto, the elements occupy a certain space within the layout. If they have a predefined width, height, padding, or margin, these elements will move based on these values. If I applied fixed to the positioning, something different would happen. As we can see here, the element no longer occupies this space. It's now superimposed. We can position the element using the various axes, X, Y, and Z. I'm going to alter the Z axis and add 10 to Z index. And you can see that our menu has moved in front of the slider. So any element that has a value that is inferior to 10 Z index is going to appear behind this element here. So now we can also position the element based on the dimensions of the viewport here. The viewport is an area within our screen that in the Bond Layer app is being simulated by the canvas, this area here. So when I add 0 to the left and to the right of the element will align itself with the canvas's sides. If I add 20 pixels to top, the element will move 20 pixels in the direction of the top of the viewport. So I'm going to add 0 pixels here, and as you can see, the element is now aligned. Another interesting characteristic is that when I scroll, as you can see, the element stays stuck. This is useful not just for the project menus, but also for lateral filters. This is an important detail to bear in mind. The fact that this element stops occupying space means that undesirable outcomes might occur. In this case, this slider is partially hidden since this menu has stopped occupying space. So in this case, we need to compensate for this lost height. We can use padding or margins to fix this. So I'm going to select this element here called menu, and since it has auto positioning, it takes up space. So I'm going to come here to sizing spacing, and I'm going to alter the height to 60 pixels. Which is exactly this height here. This way, all the remaining elements are pushed 60 pixels down. Now to better explain the next positioning, I'm going to go here to the fixed box, and I'm going to remove the fixed positioning and click Auto. Now I'm going to select the logo element, and I'm going to click Absolute. This is similar to the previous positioning option. Elements with absolute positioning don't occupy space and can be moved on their X, Y, and Z axes. This positioning isn't just based on the viewport area, but also within the area of the other tree elements, the parent elements. So if in the tree of this element, there is an element with relative positioning and the logo has absolute positioning, it will position itself based on the area of the same element, the element with relative position. If this doesn't happen, the element is positioned by the viewport. Let's do this quickly. So I'm going to come here to the left and I'm going to add 10 pixels. We can see that the element is moving to the side of the viewport by 10 pixels. This is because none of the parent elements have defined their positioning as relative. If I select the simple menu and select relative, and select our logo again with 10 pixels to the left side of the simple menu, we can see that our logo now does not have the viewport. This kind of positioning is really helpful for superimposing elements in a controlled manner. This kind of positioning depends on relative positioning. They work together. Now I'm going to change this logo into relative positioning. We can see straight away that this positioning is similar to auto positioning. The elements that are controlled occupy space. They move these elements here, as we can see. The only advantage to relative positioning is the fact that movement happens, which means we can play with absolute positioning. And that's how easy it is to position elements in the layout using this panel here.